Hello and welcome to the TVGuestpert broadcast podcast. My name is Ariana Tejero. Thank you so much for watching. This is a show where we talk to industry creatives, people who are working on certain projects, who are so inspirational with what they do. And the objective is you hear their background, their story, and you take something with it for your own career, which is why we have on the show today, Jay Jones. Thanks for coming on. Jay's president of AlwaysON PR. That's a boutique firm on the Upper West Side, if I'm correct. Yes.
That is correct. I'm in Manhattan, San Diego, the Poconos, reaching out to Paris, France, London. You got to hit those big global markets as well, as you know, I'm sure.
That's right. And then the topic for today is pitching producers, which obviously I'm so excited for this conversation, being a producer myself. And I guess we can start with, how does one pitch oneself to a producer? It's a very generic question, but run with it.
I'm going to take that ball and run with it because there's so many different aspects of pitching a producer. I mean, based on what you have. My niche is day of, late breaking news, and having a good looking portfolio. That's what I've been told. So when I pitch a story, for instance, we were talking earlier before we got on, is what's breaking? Sadly, there's been a couple of mass shootings on the West Coast. There's been some crypto news happening. It's been the Oscar buzz going on. So what I would do is I would try to, as news breaks, and that's why AlwaysON is such a struggle. As news breaks, I would say to myself, I can't write these long emails. They're not reading them. And plus the competition, and we're all frenemies in this business. We all know one another, each publicist and agent, but you got to get it quick and short. So I say it's a TikTok theory, where it's just to the point. Many times, you know, it's like a text, 28 characters. So I may say something like, breaking news, shooting in California. I have, Duncan Levin, former attorney. I used to do a line or a list of people, Duncan, Dante, Brian, this one, that one, and list like 6 people thinking they're going to bite one. But it seems like they don't get past the third person. So you just want to keep it short and you want to keep it tight and to the point and just make a super blast and see who gets it. And you want to also schedule a backup pitch. So then you throw it out there on text. I know Ari, I know Jackie, I know Marina, I know this one, I know CNN, I know those people. You could text them and they might respond and may not. And then you time a pitch and you say 20 minutes later, and your 20 minutes later, I'm going to drop a blast. 4,500 producers, breaking news, and then show the lineage of people, the whole portfolio. And usually it works. Usually I get a bite.
I see your point too about, sending those emails with a list of experts. I know in breaking news situations, I can attest to that, where I get, a bunch of messages and I personally read them all, but I know that's unique to the industry. But sometimes when it's a very crowded email and there aren't pictures, I'm overwhelmed. Like, okay, let me just choose this person next and read that pitch because it's easier on the eyes, So that is very true. Speaking for the general.
It's easy on the eyes, and you're also being inundated because when there is a breaker, you get notification. Let's take something more exciting like the Oscar nominations. You're getting all these breakers. This movie won. Austin Butler's the man. He's going to take it home. Elvis is hot. Black Panther got snubbed. Tom Cruise sneaked it in. Jerry. So you get all these notifications because you probably have smartphone, smart devices. So you're getting several notifications from others. So therefore, then you get pitches from people. You're overwhelmed. You're rushing. You got so much to do. So a lot of times producers are expecting something too. So that also helps. But it's relationships, as many people will tell you. It's timing. Timing is everything. And you got to make sure when you do pitch a producer, the main thing, or they will cut you off for life. You got to make sure Jay Jones is available. Hey, Jay's available. No, I'm so sorry, Jay. He's watching the football game. He's at a restaurant. His child has something. He got a flat tire. This, that, and the other. Then like, the producer's like, that's what we were talking about earlier, the producer customer service. That producer's like, you know what? You're dead. You're dead to me right now. You're dead to me. Because they're thinking, oh, we got this great person. No, he's not available. She's not available. They're not available.
That is pretty awkward. I've definitely come across that where, oh, okay, this is an excellent pitch. I like this expert. Oh, actually, yeah, he's out of the country.
It's so embarrassing, isn't it? It's so embarrassing. It's not. Listen, I tell my people, because I work for them and not the network, I fall on the sword. There's no problem. But still, I may have a follow-up. Okay, there's a shooting today, and then tomorrow there's a shooting in Northern California, or whatever the case may be. Crypto. And I'm like, or you have a regular person you go to. And they're like, you know what? I'm not talking to you right now. I came in on Sunday. You got me all hyped up thinking we have somebody. And it's not happening. So it's a fine line of finesse and energy, thoughtfulness. It's all those things. I used to call it like a marriage. I don't call it that anymore since everybody's like breaking up in marriages. But it's that type of honesty, integrity, relationship that we try to build with one another. So if something does go south, at least we can work around it.
It's so sad. I mean, we're talking about crime, mass shootings, and then integrity no longer constitutes a marriage. It's very sad. But anyway, I want to, as they say, put a pin in TikTok. We'll come back to that. But another thing you mentioned is producer customer service. Let's break that down because I think it's twofold, right? What you just talked about. And then also from the producer, what you say is that, one cannot expect certain behaviors anymore, certain courtesies.
Right. I mean, we were going over like the links or getting a response back or just getting some type of understanding if this person's great or not, or how we can move forward and make it work. So yeah, it's very curt. I even call my people curt. I'm like, I was at a dinner the other day and we were having a conversation. I'm like, it's very curt. So you have to have a thick skin, in other words. You really do. It's a thick skin business. And many people, such as yourself, as you know, will you kind of understand that. So if you don't get a text back, whether it's a go or not, like today I was pitching something and I didn't get a response back. And you would think, okay, if it's dead, give me a response back. But you kind of know the customer service isn't there. There's no response back. No response means we're not going for it. But meanwhile, we've been going back and forth. I get the hit in the morning, somewhere between 4 a.m. and 7. It's like, I need somebody to talk about crypto. And I'm like, okay, here's 10 people, 40 years of experience. You give them everything because sometimes, and I always go like this when I'm talking on each other. I go, shh, this may be the secret. They might be casting. So sometimes you got to give them kind of a stereotypical, if you think in Wall Street, you might give them the guy that you think is going to have that pinstripe gray suit. You might give them the woman who's going to have that Power Prada outfit. You might try to give them the brown skinned woman. You might try to give them the LGBT person, because you never know what may be behind some of the booking as well. It's not always put out there, but lately, because of ratings and the business behind the business is very important, we all kind of understand it, is that sometimes they might need a face that kind of does a lot to the new audience. The audience that's young, the audience that's socially active, the audience that's not as socially active, but traditional. So sometimes you got to play with some of the landmarks that are out there, or landmines that are out there as well. It's a tricky bag. I
like how candid you are. I appreciate that. And I think it's very useful information, and it's the truth. But when you say, unfortunately for guests, for PR reps, it's like you can't expect a courtesy link of the interview anymore. You can't expect correspondence afterwards or a thank you note. Those are all things that I do. I mean, I respond to every single pitch. I get so many, but I always feel like, there's somebody on the other end of that who's trying to make a living, and this is his or her passion. Like, the least I can do is respond and at least say, hey, this is what works, what didn't, so the person knows for next time and we both save time. But again, that's not everybody in the industry. That's a very glorified view of how things are. That's me. That's not everyone. And, no disrespect. But yeah, I think to your point, customer service, just in general, not just in this industry, has really shifted. And I think for the worse, unfortunately.
Well, there's two things. One, I'm so happy to hear you give thank you notes when possible. I'm sure that's a tough one too. I'm trying to get my little girl to give a thank you note just when she gets a
Yeah,
gift.
I think it's an important skill, and I always do it regardless, maybe not like right after the interview, but the next day or the week, because you always want to keep those relationships going. And that's how you stay on good terms with people. It's just a nice gesture. And like you say, you're teaching your kids to write, notes to say thank you. These are lost traditions that mean so much, that will get you places. Not that's why you do it, but you do it because you're a good person, right? But it's definitely a lost tradition.
It is. And we also realize you won't get the exact kindness. And so after the pandemic, if you can do something like go to a studio or go with the client or a guest of yours to the studio and maybe meet the producer, that doesn't hurt too, because a little bit of that bonding scenario, like I was just calling my travel agent just now because I just locked something in for the end of February in DC. And I'm thinking, if my calendar allows it, should I go to DC and kind of connect? Because it's been several years. So the point is, you got to lead sometimes. You got to lead by example, because you may not get all the kindness and the customer service. So you might have to go out there and push yourself and make the effort and see what's happening. This kind of goes back again to like a great relationship. If you want that relationship to really go somewhere and be something, you have to make the effort. Valentine's Day coming up. If you don't make an effort to do something kind, then take that into the business world. If you don't make the effort to do something kind, even with my own people, if I forget to say to them, oh, it's canceled today, and forget to tell them, or I don't say to them, oh, here's a reminder, make sure you're ready, or this is the format of the show, or that move, sorry, I speak so quick sometimes, it's fast moving, then they go to me too, like, yo, Jay, wait, what's up? You didn't tell me, you didn't do this. So it's also kind of the leadership. And then when you go back and forth with the networks, networks are so busy, like you're probably so busy yourself, that it's so hard to always send those, what you feel would be something nice. You're like, listen, I got to go in the next one. Or somebody's on your back saying, well, Jay's on the line, we need this. Or somebody's on line too, we need that. Do you ever see the show Jay McGuire?
Yes. Yes.
He's kind of like my ideal agent. He or Ari from Entourage. You see these guys and they're like phone call after phone call after phone call after phone call. And so sometimes you get caught in that movie image of being like a cool agent, and you may forget what your parents taught you about, what your parents taught you about life in general and what's happening.
See, there's an example right there. People are already calling you during the interview. It's a busy
I know, and I wanted to put my phone on, my whole life on mute and do not disturb, but I got two people on TV coming up at 3:00, so I'm like, what is going on? So I'm just looking.
Well, we'll wrap up shortly here, but just to reiterate some of the points that I really like that I think are good for the viewers is, respect, communication, like you said, sending reminders, being respectful of the client, the team, the producer, the network. And then also, not having grand expectations, but at the same time, having high standards and also knowing how to stand out. I think these are all really, really solid tips for our viewers. And lastly, I just want to go back to TikTok as a medium.
Okay.
And
standing out's a big deal, though. I know we got to brush over that, but standing out, that's tough because we all know one another. We're frenemies.
I like your idea, though, of, maintaining relationships, visiting in person, these kind of touches that when you talk about standing out, it's not always about the client per se. It's right. About you and what you bring to the table as a representative. But just really quickly, TikTok as a medium, regardless of feelings on it, privacy, all of these concerns, what's your opinion on TikTok as a news medium and how you as an industry professional are adapting to that?
My resolution was get on TikTok. That was my single resolution. I just believe that it is the most exciting medium for the young generation, because as I talk to producers, as I chat with them, they go, oh, I got a guest. Dr. Phil tells me all the time, oh, I got a guest from TikTok. Someone, my clients are like, oh, I put my thing on TikTok. Did you see it? I got 200,000 views. Oh, I just hear it all the time from both sides because I was on the producer side for a very long time, for like decades. And at that time, there wasn't any TikTok. I was just using the phone. But now, as I got onto what we call the dark side as an agent, you have to use every medium. I didn't really get too much into Instagram because Instagram became, to me, when I was using it, kind of simple. It became such an exercise and just like picture of how to do glutes, how to get a bigger chest, this, that, and the other, fancy clothes, and it wasn't the same. But TikTok is like crazy. Recipes, how to do stuff, DIYs. It's accepting more and more information. So at the end, most importantly, people are so into TikTok that the concentration span is short like a TikTok. So they want it quick. That's really what it comes down to. They just want fast snippets. I was telling my people today, fast snippets. Just hit the sound bite, get out. Hit the sound bite, get. I call it jabbing. Jab your bullet points.
Well, I think, yeah, there's definitely science behind that too, because there's a study that shows, I think the human brain can only ascertain like 7 seconds or 7 things at a time. It's something with 7s. You should look it up. But that's what you're saying. Yeah, quick, and content coming quick, like instantaneously too. There are a couple advice points for experts that I want to read off just quickly. The difference between boasting and arrogance, right? And then looking the part, because you mentioned in some of your notes that the pandemic is, over. So, dress up, don't wear your pajamas. And then also making the anchor, the talent look good, which is ultimately most important if you want to be asked back.
I agree with all that, 100%. Even as we tried to get it together, I'm sure you looked at outfits. I looked at outfits. I was thinking of doing it on my deck with the snow falling, but I was like, that's too cold and I'll be shivering. So that wasn't going to work. I asked you earlier, what's your name? So we can have a little more engagement. Hey, Ari, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. Get into it. And then you do, because a lot of times, see, what happens is once you get a relationship with a producer or something, you may get to them and say, hey, let's go grab a coffee or let's do something. Well, here's a guest, brand new, fresh face. And the first thing they're going to say, especially for TV, it's like, oh, great suit. Oh, great necklace. Oh, your hair looks great. Not me, but that's what they might say. That's why I say I even got a reputation for clients looking attractive. But, content is king and queen. There's no doubt about it. You have to engage and you have to, but like we said, it's a package. It's the worst term in the world. That package term is just not.
Well, visual medium, right? There's truth to that, but obviously being an expert, knowing how to sell yourself, being solid with your content. These are all, great points and great advice. Where can viewers find you to learn more and interact with you?
I'm on most social medias, LinkedIn, Instagram, J Jones, always on PR.com. If you put in J Jones, always on PR in Google, everything will pop up, IG, LinkedIn. I even have a podcast I do as a quote unquote hobby just to get out of the news world. But I'm around. I'm a long-time producer. So those are the easiest way. I have a great website with a bio, more content, more numbers. I have a dot card now. So I'm all over. And a lot of us, we know each other. So, and if you don't find me, hey, next time.
Small industry for sure. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I know you said you have a couple interviews in real time, which is so exciting. Thank you for making time. And for our viewers, make sure to look for Jackie Jordan and TVGuestpert on social media, on all of the platforms, and also on her websites. Thank you so much, Jay, and good luck with the interviews.